Okay, we're recording. We are live with Coach Allana Pratt. Allana, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the Get Foxy show today.
I am so honored to be here. I love that Terry Fox has a fox behind you on in your set there. That's so hot. And I also love, right before we went live, your acknowledgement of seeing something I posted on the Good Men Project years ago that inspired various actions. I don't know how many entrepreneurs are watching, but sometimes we don't know what we do makes a difference. And when somebody acknowledges us, it really fuels our spirit. So Terry, thank you for acknowledging me. And I'm so glad that I can be a contribution to your beautiful family and have a blast in Disneyland in a little bit. That sounds really great. Yeah. Thank you for having me here today.
You bet. Well, it's really an honor and a privilege to have you on because, yes, I have been familiar with your work for the last handful of years. And I knew, gosh, if I could just ask Allana and get her on the show, she would really have some nuggets of wisdom to share with my listeners. So I'm just so thrilled that you're able to do it.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
So right off the bat, how did you become such an amazing coach on relationships? Did your profession just sort of land in your lap, or did you choose it, or how did you get into doing what you do?
I was really fucked up. I mean, really, I was, I suppose the shortest sort of story is that I needed help healing from, like, does daddy love me? And giving away my power and being a people pleaser and trying to be good enough. Like, that's how I grew up, because my dad, even though he's dry now, he was drunk and stoned. And, one day out of 14, he might kind of be present. And so I was always trying to pretzel myself into whatever I could to get love, looking for my worth outside in, which is totally backwards, but I didn't know any better, right? And so husband number one was multimillionaire, tall, dark, and handsome. And it made my little girl inside feel safe. But then I had to cling to it, right? And it wasn't a healthy, stable relationship whatsoever, but a wonderful learning opportunity for me to take full responsibility for myself and go, oh, okay, so you're still really insecure inside. You don't want anyone to know. It's time to do some work. And so then I grew and I attracted husband number two. And by that point, I was like masculine. I'm like, Disneyland marriages, that's stupid. And, do you have a pulse? Do you have a checkbook? Got some sperm? Let's do this. Like it wasn't very enlightened. And I thought I at least wasn't being a damsel in distress. I thought I was being like clear and strong. But again, my heart was still closed. It was just the other side of the coin, of the same fear-based issues. So that too ended in divorce, and the only one in common again was me. And so I'm like, okay, let's do some work. And I started to go to a lot of workshops and talk to a lot of coaches and take a lot of responsibility and be courageous and humble and go, okay, I need some support here. And what I learned was that I'm uniquely designed to be this very safe place of non-judgment and unconditional love for my clients, because I learned intimacy. Into me, I see. Inside, I learned to forgive my insecure parts, come into communion with my wobbly parts, not only love the perfect me, but to love all parts of me equally. And that to me is the capacity to be vulnerable, where you're not putting a mask, you're not trying to control, you're not trying to shine somebody on, you're not sourcing your worth outside in. You really have done the work to find safety, security, approval, home on the inside, so you can be completely present and available with your lover, with your clients, with your children, with yourself, with the divine, with your body. It's like it goes everywhere. It's like the biggest bang for your buck to do this deep inner work, because every area in your life starts to work and thrive. And then you're really in the zone, living your purpose, being the contribution that all of us want to be on the planet. So that's my story of how I got to the Terry Fox show.
Well, on the subject of vulnerability, I have to tell you, being on your newsletter and just reading these emails that you put out, I've never seen a coach that has so much just openness
Mm.
about their lives and their own personal challenges, and it's so refreshing and endearing
Thank you.
to read about what's going on with you in your life, because it really, when I people put coaches on these pedestals, you know, and so it really makes you more human
Yeah.
and relatable and powerful.
Thank you. And isn't that unexpected? Because way back when I started coaching like 18 years ago, I was like, I will be perfect. They will trust me and then I'll fix them. Right. And I'll be fake and they'll be fake and we'll try to be perfect, which is fake. Let's do it. What credit card would you like to use? You know, like ick, right? So the quality of client that I was attracting was based on my inauthenticity and trying to give them a result that wasn't even real, because nobody's perfect. We are all perfectly imperfect. And so as I grew and became more vulnerable and stopped hiding to myself, stopped hiding to others, some people opted out of my list. They only wanted perfection. They were very judgmental of themselves and me. Well, that's fine. You're not supposed to be in my world. Go to someone else who's fake and they'll teach you how to be fake. Guys, have a good time. So, but the people on my list, they want to be loved unconditionally. They don't want to be judged, and they want to learn how to not judge themselves. They can tell it's not very healthy that they go for, you know, the Haagen-Dazs at 2 a.m. They go for the porn. They go for, oh, I just need to buy another purse, then I'll feel better. They, you know, all of these addictions we have to not sitting in the fire and letting that phoenix rise by really coming into communion with our wobbly parts and literally unconditionally loving without condition, which means if you're scared, I love you just as much as if you're happy. If you fell down, I love you just as much as if you got the medal. Like unconditional love of self allows us to be that safe space to unconditionally love another. It's so sexy. It's so attractive. It's very powerful, as you say. And I will say I have a gatekeeper. I get a lot of nasty emails. You know, when you show up fully in the world, be prepared. There's going to be the 10% that think you're the devil, 10% that think you're God, of which you're neither. You're everything. And so I say, could you just delete the mean emails, please? Because they hurt my heart, and just send me the nice emails. So it takes courage. It takes humility. And yet I've never been more successful in my life as when I started to be myself.
Isn't that funny how that works?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you've been on a personal journey supporting others, but also your own personal journey with your marriage. I'm sure your marriage has improved. Your relationships with your kids have improved the more your relationship with self has
Oh,
improved, right?
totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Um, Over the past couple of years, I've done work with a gal by the name of Joanna Shakti. She was actually on the Get Foxy show here a few months back, and
Nice.
through the work that I've done with her too, it was very much, yes, it's okay to be who you are. And for me, I ended up growing up in this cowboy culture in northern Wyoming. And of
Uh-huh.
course, I grew up with the idea, well, if you're going to be a rough, tough cowboy, well, you can't show that emotion. You can't cry. You've just got to be stalwart. Well,
Right.
when my son was diagnosed with cancer, um, that really kind of broke that. I mean, I broke. I flat
Good.
broke.
Good.
And
That's awesome.
yeah, yeah, it wasn't a pleasant thing, but I learned so much about, okay, it's okay to be real. It's okay to
Yeah.
express those emotions. And the more that
Yes.
I've done that, the more people
Healthy.
have actually responded to my authenticity and to my vulnerability. And the
Yes.
feedback has been, wow, that was really amazing. You do amazing work. You are an amazing person. And holy cow, yeah, yeah. So being
Yeah.
real, being authentic, that's huge. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that out of the many men and women that you've served over the years, you've probably seen some amazing transformations like that, or even more dramatic. Would you care to share one of those?
Oh my goodness. There's like, I've been doing this for 18 years. So yeah, there's so many. Who shall I share? I think the one that comes to mind was a woman who came to me with a series of men that used her, cheated on her. She was working at a job, her family's spa, hated it. Not getting along with her mother, not getting along with her father. Her feminine cycle had literally stopped for 2 years. So talk about not being in the flow. Her body was trying to talk to her. So all these things weren't working. And we started working together. And the amount of shut down heart, disconnection from her body, blame of self, all of that was mirroring itself on the outside with all these relationships. So we started to do work, and some of the results she created, well, she forgave the exes, stopped hanging out with girlfriends that used her. She shut down the spa, and completed all of that, faced the fear of people like losing their jobs and hating them and hating her, and like just, it was intense. But she set them up for other jobs, and she moved out west. She'd always wanted to live in California, so she literally moved across. She was on the East Coast, so she moved across the country. She found a job doing what she loves to do, teaching art with children. Her cycle started. She's been dating, God, how long has it been now? I think 7 months. She's been dating this guy, and it gets richer and richer. And she's really living her purpose, and she's free. It's so beautiful to see. And what it took was so much courage, so much self-forgiveness, so much healing of her relationships with her parents, so much allowing herself to not do what they said she should do, but do what her heart wanted to do. And how that disappointed her parents. It really did. She had to face the disappointment of her parents to live her truth. It was very difficult. And yet now she's so stylish and so alive and so authentic with this new man, and he's divorced and he has kids, and she's navigating like stepmomhood and all sorts of things that she didn't think were going to happen. But it's beautiful to see when you're willing to stop judging yourself, when you're willing to heal your heart, when you're willing to take action, when you're willing to face others' rejection, keep your heart open anyways, keep moving, bless them, release them, keep moving. Now her parents are totally proud of her. And they're like, oh, we're sorry we judged you before. You're like, you think? Yeah, that was really in her way for a while. Like, but yeah, that's just one of like hundreds of stories I have of people that when we're willing to trust ourselves, we're willing to have our worth be defined inside out, people shift. Not everybody. Some people fall away. It's true. Other ones step up. But the sense of oneness with your heart and your truth and the power and the freedom and the people that do value you is really a beautiful, grateful life. Yeah.
What does Foxy, being Foxy, mean to you, Allana?
Well, first, I just think it's the greatest word. I don't know if you know this. Terry Fox, your name, is also a gentleman from Canada. I'm from Canada. I don't know if you know him and how he, ran across the whole country for cancer. So your name, when he came through with your email, I'm like, oh my God, but he's dead. Oh my God, like, whoa. He weighs like a but the energy that your name carries is legendary. It's noble. It's like extraordinary. So that's like my first thought of like Fox, whatever. Foxy, second marriage, going over to a colleague's house of my ex-husband. The husband said, you're Foxy. And so every time we would ever go to their house, he'd always call me Foxy. And so kind of crazy. And then just like a couple months ago, so I've been divorced for like 13, 14 years, so quite some time. So I go over to another house for a party, and it's just down the road from the other guy's house. And I said to the father, or the husband, I'm like, do you know so-and-so lives around there? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, and before I even said that, he called me Foxy. Like I was saying something in the conversation. I'm like, do you know so-and-so down the way? Because he used to always call me Foxy. So anyways, that word is quite popular in my life for some reason. And it's been spoken by gentlemen, not by women. And I think the capacity that they're picking up on, or the essence that they're picking up on, is my willingness to be free in my sexuality, sensuality, with an element of class, with an element of sacredness, with an element, because they're not calling me slutty. They're not calling me porn star. They're not, it's not sleazy. It awakens something in them. So I mean, I've never interviewed them and asked, why do you call me Foxy? But I believe it's that something in them awakens. I'm a catalyst by the way I'm allowing my femininity to be sacred, classy, sexy, and sensual, and a gift to the room, to wherever I am, because it perks people up. So I think that's what it is. So now I'll interview Terry Fox. So what is it, Terry, that you think about Foxy? Like, did I get it right? Do you agree?
I think Foxy is extremely subjective, which is why I love asking all my guests that question, because there are so many different answers to it. And each woman that I've interviewed has a little bit different take on it.
Yeah.
But there are some common themes. And those common themes seem to relate to being comfortable in your own body.
Yes.
And kind of owning your presence.
Yes.
And to me, there's also that element, like you mentioned, of the divine feminine that's there. There's this sacredness and this honor about it as well. So it's not a dirty or a nasty sort of thing.
No.
But it definitely is a polarizing kind of presence. It's a magnetic presence. It's a charismatic presence.
I love it. I love it. Who's the one that's saying "Foxy Lady"? Who's that again? I can't remember.
Is that Jimi Hendrix?
Jimi Hendrix. Thank you. Yeah, love that song. Love to dance to that song.
You might get me in trouble. I used to dance to that song in college myself. There's some of my college friends could tell you stories about the Foxy dance.
I can tell you're an interesting man with your beard and your mustache. You are a unique, awesome guy, and I can totally imagine your Foxy dance.
So, has there ever been a time in your life where you couldn't necessarily find that foxiness? And what
like
did you
Thursday?
Thursday? And okay, well, on Thursday, what did you do to bring that foxiness back out?
This is sort of a process that I would like to teach everybody. I have a workshop coming up that it's complimentary. I want everyone to have access to. But basically, the premise begins with when we're not feeling foxy, confident. We have two choices. We can either judge that as bad and wrong, which actually makes things worse. And then the only thing to do is put sprinkles on top of the ice cream cone of shit and be fake, which is exhausting and quite repulsive, really, if you ask me. Or the other choice when we're not feeling foxy, confident, etc., is to be an allowance. It's not acceptance. Acceptance is like a giving up, a giving in, and the energy stops, in my opinion. Allowance is active. Allowance is heart open. Allowance is, I might not like this, I might not prefer this, but I will not resist this, and I will not reject or judge this. I will just be with this. And so when I'm feeling that way like 20 years ago, I would stuff it down, almost like little Allana in the back corners of my heart. I would hit her with a 2x4, shut the door, say, shut the fuck up. Hi, everybody. And I would just be fake, right? Because I was trained in my brain synapses and central nervous system and hormone receptors, like how I was wired as a little girl is, don't make daddy upset because shit'll hit the fan if you do. So you have to be fake and you have to be, happy. And it was a survival strategy that blocked thriving and authenticity. So I retrained myself and created a new brain synapse, a new central nervous response, new hormone receptors that don't do fight or flight and send cortisol through your whole body and disconnect you from your intelligence and your reptilian brain. I learned how to stay present. I learned how to lean in. I learned how to sit in the fire. I learned how to breathe. I learned how to go into that dark closet where little Allana is not feeling very foxy and go, hey, hi, you have every right to feel this way. Tell me more. And not so that we can be better and be perfect, so we can get out of it. No, I'm willing to sit with her for eternity. Something happens when you love yourself unconditionally and don't judge yourself for eternity. If that's how long it takes, something inside rests. And it's a whole energetic shift, a whole cellular memory shift, a whole lifestyle reality shift. And so grace happens, magic happens, transformation happens to that part of you. It grows, something emerges, something wakes up when this one part of you is cradling, like a yin yang, kind of like cradling this other part of you. You just breathe and you allow, and you don't judge. As if it was a child. I'm like, you're a dad, I'm a mom. If your child comes in the room and is scared or mad or ashamed or whatever, and you're like, stop it, go into the closet, no food, slam the door, it's not going to go very well. They're not going to feel any better, right? But we do it to ourselves all the time. So with your own child, you come here, you hold them, you breathe with them, you acknowledge them, you validate them, you listen to them, you understand them, you get them. And then once they've calmed down, you can ask questions, which any great parent or coach will do. Well, what did you learn? What was the growth opportunity there? What was right about that? What's ready to emerge in you? What's the possibility? What's a new way you could be about that? And the child totally figures it out. They're very smart, but nobody can think and be connected to their intelligence when they're in freak out. They have to come back to their presence. They have to come back to their prefrontal cortex. That is when we can connect with our intelligence. Our brain can grow and we can have these insights and hear God, hear in the universe, the divine, whatever word you like to use. So that's the sort of long answer, but the process that I take people through of how to do that. And when you can do that, you become safe for others to be with you intimately because you've trained yourself not to judge and to shut things off and be fake. You've learned how to just sit in the fire for eternity, however long it takes. And it's really magnetic, really like a vortex of irresistibility sexually, romantically, but also parentally and also with clients. What client is going to be like, oh, well, I don't know, they're going to judge me eventually? They're not going to want to work with you. They're going to want to know that you will not judge them and you'll sit and acknowledge and take them through a process to heal them in a lasting way so that their true power can awaken and then they can have the results they desire. That is the path. I believe that works.
And so that's the path that you take in order to reclaim your foxiness as well.
Yeah. Well, once you're back in a state of presence, you're in a state of choice. And that is pretty easy. Then I'll put my Jimi Hendrix on. I'll move around. I'll dance. I have a meditation practice. I love to be in nature. I have all these different practices that everybody knows. So everybody's bright. They know what turns them on and what enlivens them. But most of us do it as sprinkles on top of the ice cream cone of shit. And it doesn't work. Or it's exhausting and you got to do it again and again. I mean, there were days 20 years ago where I would have to meditate for a good hour just to be happy. And then it would be gone in 20 minutes. Well, what's going on? There's something deep inside that I'm not addressing, that I'm not healing, right? So once we get to this state of presence, people are pretty smart. I figure they can figure it out. Wear your sexy underwear and read a couple affirmations, read some, good literature, put some music on, be in nature, have a bath, self-pleasure. There's all sorts of these things that we all know how to do, but they just don't work or in a lasting way when it's on top of pain, a wound. It just won't last. Yeah. And then you do it and you think, oh, well, I really must be not enough. I really must be a failure at relationship. I really must be a loser. No, it's just that it's an ineffective action. You're trying to put something on top of it. Go the other direction. Do the counterintuitive, the reverse engineered way. Go into the fire. And that takes courage and that takes humility. And that's why coaches exist. I have, 40, 45, private clients, a bunch of group clients, but I also have 3 coaches of my own because I can't see my blind spots. I am the first to let everyone know that I'm a work in progress. No, I'm perfectly imperfect as well. So I need somebody back there to help me with business that I don't understand, with my spiritual growth that I don't understand, with my body healing that I don't understand. I'm so grateful to have my coaches to rest into so that my clients can rest into me. And so we can all rest into the universe.
God bless you for saying that. I was just doing a Facebook Live post yesterday talking about holiday stress and how you have to receive in order to give.
Thank you.
And most of the women that I talk to and that I work with in my cosmetic acupuncture practice are always on the go. They're giving.
Yeah.
And they rarely are taking the time to receive. And, you know, having a coach is part of that receiving.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really great you say this. I like to say, when mama's happy, everybody's happy, right? And so we need to fill up our tank first, you know, the whole oxygen mask kind of analogy. But really, what does that like practically look like in your life? You're absolutely right. Receive. What does that mean? Receive the moment, receive your coach's guidance, receive the sunshine penetrating your skin, receive sleeping in every so often to restore your body, receive a compliment, receive little you who's scared and doesn't think she's good enough, and sit with her in the fire. These are all, receiving isn't necessarily comfortable at all. It's so much easier just to give, because then we don't have to risk rejection. We don't have to be uncomfortable. We don't have to put down healthy boundaries. We don't have to say thank you, but no thank you. We don't have to do any of that personal growth. We can just keep giving and looking good and being martyrs and being exhausted. It doesn't work. It's not sexy. And frankly, I think it leads to sickness, honestly. I watched my sweet mother die at 61. I believe she was predisposed because my grandfather died of cancer, but I believe her actions of stuffing, and overgiving and stuffing led to her body going, hey, this isn't working. We need to shift this. So it's very important to think of a scale. And if you're truly to be balanced, and at one with yourself, the divine, you would be in balance. A yin yang isn't yin yang or yang. Yeah, it's like balance, right? Hello, like it's not just day, night. Like it shifts. Everything is in balance, right? The waves come in, they don't come in and in and in. They come in and out. Like anywhere you look, balance. Be in balance. Okay, how much have I replenished, restored, regenerated, received? How much have I filled my tank up? Where do I get the biggest bang for my buck? Where have I said yes when I really meant no? Where have I been afraid to ask for what I desire, so I just do everything else for everybody? Where am I being the victim? Where am I being the martyr? Where am I blaming? Like all of these it is intense questions. So a coach is very helpful to help you sit in the fire and go, no, right there. Yeah, that. Tears. Process. Rest. So that is the space that a good coach can hold for you. So you don't just keep spinning and giving, which has the illusion of safety, but really you're just surviving and exhausted. Really, there's a beautiful balance when you can come into rest with your giving and your receiving. People respect you more. They really do. They don't respect somebody they can use. You're not going to attract somebody that really honors you if you don't honor you. And I remember, I don't know how much of the story you've read in my emails or what have you, but basically I went through like a 13-year custody battle, lost my house, my savings, went into $250,000 of debt, trying to not have my son taken away from me. It was not a fun time. Regardless, it was a beautiful time of awakening for my voice, a beautiful time of no longer determining my worth based on other people's opinion of me, no longer believing that life had to look a certain way for me to have a profound relationship with my son. A lot of great lessons, not a lot of fun. But the point that I wanted to give people here was about this giving and this receiving. So I was working so hard to try to pay off this $250,000 of debt. Is a lot of debt. And I was working 7 days a week. I was knocking it out of the park. I was being vulnerable. I was being authentic. I was giving. And I was really exhausted. I was creating results, but I was really exhausted. And this one couple had signed up and they said the only time they could be available was Sundays because I was available 7 days a week. And I never took a day, Terry, to fill up, maybe an hour in the morning. That was it. And I was starting to get sick. I couldn't quite kick the getting sick all the time. I was always like fighting a flu or a cold. And my body was like, hello, Allana. And so I remember the day that I said to them, I'm sorry, I'm no longer available on Sundays. because I choose to replenish so I can be on my A game for you. I was so scared I would lose that client, and I really needed the money because I was getting the debt down. And at first they were like, well, that doesn't work for us. I go, breathe, breathe, don't give in, don't give in, don't give in. I'm sorry, perhaps Saturdays would work, or I have evening sessions on Mondays and Tuesdays. And then they went, all right, fine, we'll come on Saturday. Easy. They didn't like ask for their money back. I had to honor myself. I had to honor myself. So we switched them to Saturday. I immediately went to my computer. No shit, Terry. Somebody signed up, not just one. My 6 sessions is $4,000. I am not a cheap coach. I give results. I'm not therapy. This is lasting change, return on investment for the rest of your life. Somebody signed up for two. There was $8,000 on my computer. The minute I honored myself, risked rejection, and took care of myself, the universe honored me back instantly. And I started to cry. I started to weep because I'm like, oh, you're really out there. You really are listening. Oh, if I walk my talk and honor myself, you will have my back. And I just cried and cried that I don't have to try so hard. I can honor myself. I will be honored. Because every day when I opened my eyes, I was being dishonored by my ex in court, that I really somehow still questioned, was I really worthy of kindness? Was I really worthy of support? Did the universe really have my back? I still questioned. I had a good attitude, but I still questioned. And that was one of the most profound moments of humbling, like, oh my God, thank you so much. I do matter. I do belong. I can take care of myself. I can walk my talk. Thank you. Thank you. It was amazing. And so I encourage the listeners, it will take courage. It will take courage to cut off the places where your energy is being prostituted, where you're giving away and you're not replenishing. It's going to take some ovaries. It's going to take something. But I promise you, and I would never ask you to risk cash flow. I would never ask you to risk anything if I didn't completely believe with every fiber of my being that as you honor you, the universe will honor you. Promise. And that's a big deal. And so have a coach like Terry to have your back. Have a coach like me. Have support there. Because walking through the fire is not easy to do alone. But my goodness, like I can't even believe it comes out of my mouth. I am never afraid of money anymore. Never. I have been like, oh my God, the lights are still on. I haven't paid the bill. Oh my God, you need 25 grand by Monday for court. Like I have been in terror about money and beating myself up and shame. Going to my accountant is so ashamed. Like I have gone through the gamut. But here's the deal. There's such a connection with money and love. And such a connection when you heal that relationship with money, because money is just energy, right? When you heal that relationship of self-worth, net worth is instantly healed. And I receive 24/7 love, income. I mean, I probably by the end of this interview, someone will have bought a $27 book or something. Like it just happens now. And I never, ever thought I would get to this place where I had no more fear about money. It is a place of rest. And it's the same rest where I know I'm enough. Like, I don't know when my next boyfriend will show up. I had a really great lover for a couple months back and I completed it. I don't know when my next romp in the romp in the sack, in the hay, whatever is going to happen. But I don't have any worry about it. I know that the divine will send me my next lover in perfect time when it's a complement to his life and my life. I don't have fear about these things anymore. I feel so at one with the divine all the time. Doesn't mean I don't feel like not Foxy sometimes. Like that still happens. I still get scared sometimes. But that connection has never, ever gone away from my willingness to keep doing this work. I can always, even if I'm a little, I'm like, oh, there it is. Oh, I'm held. Okay, all is well. And I'm so grateful that I get to take people, I call it home, to that place inside of us. It's inside of all of us. It's not outside. It gets mirrored outside, but it's inside and it's beautiful and it's real. Yeah.
How can people find out more about you and your work, Allana?
Oh, thank you. Well, I'd love everybody to play with me. I have a wonderful workshop coming up, totally complimentary. allanapratt.com/soul-shaking. So my name, Allana, ALLANAPRATT.com, and then soul, like your soul, dash shaking, because I want to shake up your soul and wake it up. It's a process I take people through. It's like a 3 or 4 video series of these deeper inner processes to help you navigate those intense emotions and stay there, to help you find little you and come back into communion, to really address, do you trust the universe? Because if you don't, you're going to always be clinging and always be trying to controlling. And that, that trying to want, seek, control pushes away love and money. So I want to bring you back into that communion inside so you can receive love and money. So this workshop is totally complimentary. I'd love everybody to sign up and play with me and let me love you home to this place. So that's how they can find me.
Fantastic. Well, I'll be sure to put that link in the show notes. So
Thank
that
you.
way y'all can just go to the getfoxyshow.com and you'll find that link right here under this episode. Looking at the time, Allana, I would love to have you back on the show sometime later in the future, because I think we were just kind of scratching the surface on some of these topics.
Yeah, it would be my pleasure, Terry. I would love to. There's so much we can go into about vulnerability and intimacy and self-worth and showing up and receiving and all this kind of stuff. So thank you so much.
Fantastic. Well, that's it for the show today. Again, thank you, Allana, so much for being here. I appreciate you taking the time, and I know you are a busy lady. So thank you. I honor you for that. And y'all, check out Allana's complimentary relationship workshop. Check out that link and take advantage of her offer, because the possibilities here for changing your situation in life are huge. So check that out. And until next time, y'all take care. Stay foxy.